Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. So, day 3 of our Primarch Face Off, and today we finish the first round with Horus Lupercal taking on Lion L. JONSON, and then Ferrus Manus versus Sanguinius. Oh boy. But before we get to those, let's take a look at the results so far. So from day 1 we had Lorgar going up against the Night Haunter, Conrad Kurz. And well, this proved to be an absolute annihilation, with Conrad winning with 95% of the vote. I'm sorry Lorgar, but it's just not your day. Next we had Guilliman versus Corax. And while I do agree with the result, I must admit I am a little surprised. The Raven Lord won, receiving 71% of the vote. And then the final matchup from day 1 had Magnus the Red defeating Angron by an actually very surprising high margin. Magnus won with 79% of the popular vote. And that brings us on to day 2. Where we had Perturabo taking on Jagatai Khan. And well, another convincing win here, with Jagatai receiving 69% of the vote. Next up we had yesterday's main event, Leman Russ taking on Rogel Dawn. And guys, I am pleased to say you did not let me down, with Leman Russ winning with a surprisingly high 72% of the vote. Oh yes, the Wolf King moves on to the next round. And lastly we had Vulcan versus Fulgrim, and this is the first result that disagreed with how I thought things would go. Vulcan winning by a landslide with 74% of the vote, completely obliterating the Phoenician. So that just leaves us with today's round 1 matchups to finish. And where better to begin than Horus Lupercal, the War Master, going 1-on-1 with Lion L. JONSON. Man, what a matchup this is. 2 of the most respected Primarchs. We all know everybody loved Horus. We are told it over and over again. But they may not have loved the Lion, but they sure did respect him. We've spoken before on the channel about how precious little we've really seen of Horus before his fall begins. The Lupercal as he was in the early days of the Great Crusade. We've been given small snippets here and there, and we've even seen him fight side by side with the Emperor of Mankind. But really, there hasn't been much in the way of interactions with his brothers, or any form of physical interaction at least. We're really just told, Horus is the man. And this really causes a bit of a problem in a matchup, especially with the Lion of all the Primarchs, because he's portrayed exceptionally well. You can almost feel the danger dripping off the page in any scene that he is in. But Horus is Horus for a reason. He and he alone was by the Emperor's side for decades. Decades. Do we really think he wouldn't have been learning and growing every single day under the tutelage of the Emperor of Mankind? And it's worth remembering here, the Emperor isn't just a scholar, he is a warlord. The greatest warlord in all of history, bar none. And Horus Lupercal received the benefit of his knowledge on a daily basis. There are no other Primarchs that can compare to that. There's a very big reason so many Primarchs put him as a rival to Sanguinius. Horus, as we know, was always adorned in his heavy Terminator armour, wielding the fabled Talon of Horus. So you would definitely have to give him the strength and durability advantage. But then we have the Lion. In many people's eyes, the closest competitor for War Master that Horus truly had. Raised alone in the forests of the Death World Caliban, Lion L. JONSON is a predator. Display even a hint of weakness, and he will seize upon it. The Lord of the First will do whatever he believes is the correct course of action, in the name of the Imperium, regardless of what or who stands in his way, because loyalty is its own reward. We've seen the Lion taking on the Night Haunter on several occasions, and while both had their moments, ultimately it was the Lion who came out on top, snapping the Night Haunter's spine. And this victory is truly commendable, as Kurz is widely spoken of as one of the more formidable Primarchs. Even the likes of Russ hold him in very high regard, at least on the battlefield. So the Lion does truly receive high marks for unquestionably beating Kurz. And not to be outdone on the demon front, the Lions even left Kairos Fateweaver, a pile of ash, impaling the demon's heart after it failed miserably in trying to tempt him in betraying the Emperor. And he does all of this with absolute swag. I mean, you really do have to love Lion L. JONSON. This is the guy who came a hair's breadth from obliterating Macragge and curb stomping Rabute. And it has to be said, I can imagine he'd quite enjoy taking Horus on. It really was a poorly kept secret that the Lion wanted the War Master role. So the Lion Sword versus the Talon of Horus. Now, I think the Lion will get the popular vote, really based on the portrayal he receives throughout the Heresy series, because he really just comes across as a bad man walking. And I really can't disagree with that. But I really do feel that's more representative of the lack of Horus moments we've received before his fall to chaos. We are perhaps treated to moments of conversation with Sanguinius, but we've never truly seen the old Horus, the Horus as he was meant to be, go toe to toe with a brother, even within the sparring cages. At least not that I can remember. So I really do think in reality that this fight would have been much closer. So I guess the question is, are you going with the reputation of Horus Lupercal, the Primarch that was, or the Lion L. JONSON you've seen? Me personally, I am kind of torn. I know I should vote for Horus, because well, he is Horus. But the Lion just comes across as a more dangerous and skillful warrior, and it's really a credit to the writing of the authors. I will definitely be watching this one with interest, that is for sure. Next up we have our final fight of round 1. The Gorgon versus the Angel. Now honestly, I'm expecting a landslide here. Ferrus is gonna wipe the floor with him. Okay, I think we all know I mean Sanguinius. And really, I can't say it's wrong, as the Gorgon did lose to Fulgrim, and we all know the heroic Sanguinius would go on to during the Horus Heresy. But Ferrus does deserve our respect, second only to Vulcan perhaps in terms of raw power, and as durable as the Lord of Iron. Ferrus Manus is truly everything a Primarch should be. With Forgebreaker in hand, he can demolish virtually any foe that stands in his way. And it's ironic here that he's drawn against the Angel, when he has such rage and temper himself. This would most definitely be no cakewalk for Sanguinius. The Gorgon would most definitely have the strength advantage, and be able to absorb a huge amount of punishment. Sanguinius would definitely find Ferrus coming back again and again. The speed and flight of Sanguinius, however, do give him a distinct advantage, and his skill with a blade is certainly legendary. We've seen him hold curs at bay, completely unarmoured, let alone demolish the greater demon Kabanda. With all the talent of Sanguinius, and his power of foresight, he really is too much for the Gorgon to handle. But hey, maybe the voting will surprise me. Okay, so it's only the 2 matchups today to end round 1. You know the drill by now, guys. Make sure you get your vote in ASAP. And looking ahead to tomorrow, we have 2 new players entering the game, with Alfarius and Mortarion stepping out of the shadows. Huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.